Good day to you all. Students, my name is Charles Sumner. My message to you today is a message of advocacy and of equality. I was a senator in the United States Senate from 1851 when I entered, replacing that of Senator Daniel Webster, until my death in 1874. I was a strong abolitionist and campaigned very much against slavery. My first speech before the Senate was a speech railing against the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. The act made it the law for free states to be required to return escaped slaves to the South and impose a penalty of $1,000 on those who assisted runaway slaves. I proposed to repeal said law in my first speech and to abolish slavery federally. I lost the vote, 4 votes to 40. In 1854, Congress passed the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which opened the territories of Kansas and Nebraska and said that people would be able to move there and vote for whether said territories would enter the Union as a free state or as a slave state. Predictably, this doctrine of popular sovereignty, as it was called, resulted in violence in Kansas and less so in Nebraska. In 1856, I prepared and gave a speech called The Crime Against Kansas, where I railed against said act and made comments about its drafters, Stephen Douglas of Illinois and Andrew Butler of South Carolina. My comments on Andrew Butler were as follows, and I would like you to listen closely and not be offended, as these may not be all that appropriate for a college setting. I said, Andrew Butler has a mistress, and she is an ugly one. I mean the harlot, slavery. And said that the entire culture and history of South Carolina could be destroyed, and society would surely gain more than it would lose. The next day, after my speech, I was attacked nearly to death by Butler's cousin, once removed, Preston Brooks. I was not able to return to the Senate for 3 years, and when I did, however, I gave another big speech against slavery. And during the Civil War, I proposed to President Lincoln the idea that during wartime, the president has the power to emancipate the slaves. This idea was given to me by my mentors, Joseph Story and John Quincy Adams, who mentored me about abolitionism. After the war, I campaigned hardly for the civil rights of African Americans, and my dying wish was a Civil Rights Act. I would like to propose the message to you today that when faced with injustice, you must not stop fighting. You must keep fighting and campaigning against injustice, though it may hurt you, though people may attack you. I welcome questions at this time.
Give me that, you got it, you have that.
I'm just trying to formulate it.
What? Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what would you have done different if you, or would you have done anything different if you knew that you would end up being attacked?
I would have to address that question by repeating my sentiment in my message to you that though people may attack you, you must campaign against injustice. Yes. Oh. Yes.
What made you so adverse to slavery? Is it because of religion, or was it because of the way you've been raised?
Well, there's multiple ways to address that point. I grew up in Boston in a neighborhood, perhaps because my family was not able to live anywhere else, in a neighborhood of Boston with the first black church in the nation and very much occupied by African Americans. I have believed for my life that the Constitution is not supportive of slavery, and that this is affirmed by the Declaration of Independence, for which it is written within that all men are created equal. I think that now that we have the Reconstruction Amendments, the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th, this is affirmed, and we should read the Constitution as such. And slavery is an abomination to God. Yes.
How did you win the election over Daniel Webster?
Daniel Webster died, and I was his replacement. Yes.
If you could go back and do it all over again for the same cause, knowing the outcome, would you do it knowing if it would be worth it or not?
I would think if I had compromised on any of the points for which I advocated, I would not have gotten this level of equality or the end of slavery as soon as I and other abolitionists had sought. Yes.
Did you have like a good relationship with President Abraham Lincoln?
I would say as such, because when the emancipation of the slaves was ensured and the equal rights was ensured, I asked him if the Constitution would confer equal rights due to the advancements. And Abraham Lincoln did not answer me, but he left the interpretation open for me to interpret, and I think that would be affirmed.
And that's all we have time for.
Thank you, students.